Hey friends, it's Dr. Jonathan Ellerby with another live 12 at 12. And whenever you watch this, I hope you take the time to watch it to the end because we have another important topic today on too much tech. What are the costs and the opportunities embedded in a life of digital dependence and an awakening to the not only the obvious incredible benefits of the world of social media and artificial intelligence and so on, but more significantly, waking up to the extraordinary, unseen, unacknowledged, and dangerous effects that it's having on your life as we sit here together right now. Spooky. Spooky. If it's not spooky, it will be. All right, so before we dive into this, I'm going to invite you to take a breath because wherever you are and whatever you're doing, if you've been scrolling, searching, clicking, you probably need a minute just to connect with yourself, connect with your breath, and unplug before we dive in. So I'm going to invite you to take a breath. Let your eyes close. Take the biggest breath you can. Hold it a moment. Notice where you're feeling tension or tightness, and then just let it go. And you just do that a couple more times. Really big inhale. Hold it. Doesn't even matter how you breathe. Just hold it. Notice tension in your body, tension in your mind, busyness in your life, and let it go. And as you let it go, feel yourself soften, relax, and coming more into the present moment. Paying attention to stillness and silence, and the remembering that your life is defined from within. That there is no screen, nor app, nor website, nor expert that knows more about how to be you fully, vibrantly than you. And we open our eyes. And here we go. So, I have a number of videos on related topics, so I recommend you check those out. And if you haven't seen the new film, The Social Dilemma, which is available on Netflix, I'm going to beg you to watch that as soon as possible. One of the reasons why the effects of social media and digital dependence is really a primary issue today is it's not any longer about the effects on any one individual. We know that too much screen time affects sleep, it affects neurology, it affects the nervous system. We know that the compulsive patterns that the algorithms of our social media platforms and our shopping platforms, we know that those compulsive patterns are triggering addictive behavior, high levels of anxiety, exponentially growing rates of depression and suicide and social isolation. And more significantly, we are now seeing that regardless of what the digital world is doing to individuals, we are all experiencing the cost of what it's doing to our collective community. In particular, the fact that our search engines, our news providers, and our social media platforms are all designed and built to provide us more of what we have already demonstrated we like and more of what we already believe. Now, from a shallow, narrow perspective of avoidance and pleasure, this is great because we get to feel right and we get more of what's easy. We get more of what we already know. We get more of what's familiar. We get the affirmation and approval of our basic interests. But the problem is This immediately begins to corrode our personal capacity for self-reflection and critical thinking. Not only can we fill up every spare moment of our day with some kind of arguably meaningful distraction, checking a calendar, checking the weather, checking messages, checking for events, and so on, but more significantly, the reality that we are seeing presented to us is in fact a manipulated reality. And it's actually happening on all sides of the fence, which makes it worse. If we could all simply see one agenda being pushed in the media or in social media or in the online world, well, that would probably reveal itself as dangerous and ridiculous pretty quickly. But when there's diversity and each side is being fed a different story, then more than the erosion of self-reflection and critical thinking, it fosters a deeper experience of division in which neither side is being presented a reasonable view of the other side or other views, and both sides feel more and more convinced and committed that their way of seeing the world is justified. Now, if we take this from a basic postmodern psychological perspective, or even from an ancient spiritual perspective, this all flies in the face of one simple principle, which is that no one has access to the correct version of reality. Reality is always subjective. Reality is always filtered through our culture, our gender, our childhood. We don't see what we're looking at. We see what we're looking through. This is the basic problem of human psychology and relationships and healing. But now, not only do we have the challenge and the struggle of our own filters, but we have additional filters that are amplifying and affirming the very impairments that we are already living and seeing through. It's only making it worse. Something like an addict who keeps being told that their addiction is okay, that there's always more of what they need, and it's only going to get better and better and better. There's no way out. So there's really three toxins or three poisons involved in the broad social and personal impact that is an outcome of too much dependence on social media and so on. The first we've talked about, it's delusion. Delusion meaning that we think that the reality that's being portrayed is accurate when it's wildly biased in our favor, which makes it dangerous. That is also why the dangers of technology are not just personal. Even if you shut down all your social media interactions, even if you give up your phone and computer completely and you never see me again, you're going to live in a world where the politics, the environmental sciences, the education is all going to be influenced by delusion. This takes us now to the second of the three dangers or poisons, and that is denial. Denial is the internalized experience of the delusion. The delusion is the outer expression. We look for answers, we look for news, we look for evidence of what we should be focusing on as a community, a family, a country. And it's misinformation, it's manipulated information, it's managed and packaged information. Then we don't have to look at our own challenges. We don't have to look at our own limits. And that's where we enter into denial. Denial is a danger because as long as significant parts of who we are remain in the shadows of our awareness, then they act on us and we can do little about them. And the final piece is disconnection. So we have delusion, denial, and disconnection. And disconnection is really about the loss of the whole human experience. There are only so many senses we can engage, mostly sound and sight, when we are watching a video or participating in a Zoom call. But what about all the other senses? And now science has come to believe quite firmly we have more than 5 senses. And I'm not talking about intuition, although that's important too. We have more than 19 senses that are documented by biologists and physiologists. Our sense of timing, our sense of place, our sense of ethics, our sense of justice, our sense of temperature, our sense of barometric pressure. There are so many different things that we can sense in a real lived personal experience that we cannot experience in the flat world of a screen or a headset. And the reason why this is so critical is because there is information, there is love, there is wisdom available in the direct experience of life itself. When we take time to sit beneath a tree, to sit and laugh and tell stories with a friend, to engage in creative projects, we are accessing not only the fullness of who we are, but the fullness of our universe. And we can discover directly, not because we believe it, but because it is so, that the feelings of worth, of connection, of compassion, of meaning are waiting for us. They are ever present. They are everywhere, unless we are deluded, we are in denial, and we are disconnected. And if we let those forces act on us unconsciously and without remedy, then there is literally no hope that we can find the kind of inner peace, the kind of health, or the kind of happiness that we truly desire. Because we have literally removed some of the core ingredients, some of the core forces and factors from the process. We need our senses. We need each other. We need to feel the living energy of life so that it can influence us, awaken us, challenge us, teach us, and remind us that love and wisdom are not commodities. They are not downloadable programs or ebooks. They are not YouTube videos. They are real forces in our life, but we need to be present. We need to be honest. We need to be connected, and we need to be open in order to experience the power and the beauty of the world as it truly is. So that's all we have time for now, but I hope you'll check out my website, jonathanellerby.com.